Hi, I'm Sally Glass and welcome to episode 184 of Art This Week. On this week's episode, we continue our coverage on the Moderns exhibition, Mexico Inside Out, Themes in Art Since 1990. Today we speak with the artist Out-Artemio about his work in the exhibition. Now for Art This Week.
Thank you for being with us, Artemio.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here with you. Right now we're standing in front of one of his works called Mexitax, which is actually a series of photographs from 1998 that was taken in his European tour. Would you first of all sort of tell us about the concept of this work and what your goal was?
Well, this project was like, it's very old, so it's weird to think about that long time ago.
Right.
Because actually it was made, all the project in 97.
Okay.
So at the end it was 98 when I finished, so that's the time. But the thing is that I was going to Europe, I think it was like the first time I was going to Europe, and I was thinking like what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to Europe, and I think like working with the stereotypes is fun, and make fun of the stereotypes. So I decided to go to Europe dressed like the stereotype of the Mexican, no? Which was like with the big sombrero and the colored poncho. Mm-hmm. But also it was kind of based, not based, but it was very related to the Tim Burton movie called like Mars Attacks.
Okay.
So I was like having fun with that. So I was like thinking about like this Nostradamus prophecy that I invented. And I said like, oh, I found this prophecy that says like at the end of the millennium is gonna be an army of Mexicans everywhere. So basically I was doing that. So I took the plane to Paris because I started in Paris. So I took the plane to Paris dressed like the Mexican. I crossed the border with the passport and with the hat. This was actually even before the euro. So it was like all these different monies.
Right.
But also like the borders in Europe were like different, no? Because now you can just cross and nobody cares. But in that moment it was like crossing the border, changing your money and everything.
Oh, wow,
and it was kind of funny to be dressed like the Mexican because I did it like 24/7.
Right.
You know, it was all day dressed like that for like 9 months.
Wow.
And it was very interesting. I had a lot of fun.
How did people react to you?
It was like different. I have like really good memories of that. The thing is like it became a photographic project after, because when I was doing that, I was just doing it like for fun in a way, and I was like saying like this to my friend, like, hey, imagine that you go to Paris and you take a picture of the Eiffel Tower, and when you develop your picture, because this was before digital photography, that when most of the people was using 35 film, so then you go and you develop it, and when you get after to the lab and you get your pictures, then you're like, what is this Mexican doing here? No, so that was my idea in the beginning, and then I realized like the tourists were taking pictures of me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask them to give me their pictures. So basically when I was doing my siesta or whatever, or just posing, the people was like, I was like, hey, excuse me, can you send it to me by mail? Because it was like not email. And I think I got my email in 98, and this was made in 96 or 97, no? So I got back negatives, and I got back pictures that I not scanned because I had no scanner at the time. So I did like this internegative process. So it was like a very analog process in a way.
Sounds like it.
So, and everything was that, no? So then I put all together the pictures, and I got, at the end, I got like 2,000 different pictures back from mail, in the mail, and also like with my camera that I brought that I had to take pictures of my travel and my trip and everything. I got them, but also these friends of mine were like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of you and that. So it became a photographic project after, no, in a way. It was like the process was different, no? The idea was, I was never thinking about doing it as a photography project. I was like, we'll see, no?
Right, so it was more of a performance piece that through documentation somewhat, but it was also kind of fun.
No,
right?
it is. I enjoy it, and I think it was like very, very funny, and the reactions were weird in a way because like, for example, I remember like in Berlin, in Potsdam, like the Potsdam is like a super neo-Nazi community, and I was like at midnight with a friend of mine taking pictures with a Mexican, and we ran into this big group of skinheads, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna be nice. And the skinheads were like, the Mexican, and we end up having beers with them that they buy me the beers because I was the Mexican.
The Mexican.
So they were like, oh, nice, and that. So for example, I have pictures of me with like 2 skinheads and a beer, no? So it was kind of like different reactions, but never like negative. It was super interesting. Like the people was like, this is so weird to be with a Mexican. And the thing is that I did it so long, like for so long time, for so much, that I became kind of comfortable dressed like that.
Yeah.
So for me it was like normal, like all day with the poncho and the sombrero.
Right.
Like the first days it was like weird, but then it was just
But
like,
9 months later, it didn't seem so
like
weird.
2 months later or 1 month later, it's just like, it's like going to school with a uniform.
Right, right. Okay, Artemio, we're now standing in front of your work, Untitled, Portrait of 450 Murdered Women in Ciudad Juarez. Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on what it means to you and what first inspired you to make it?
Well, basically I was invited to be part of this exhibition residency program called Proyecto Juarez.
Okay.
And it was like this series of residencies in Ciudad Juarez in periods of like 2 years, no? So that was in 2006.
Okay. So
the whole project of Proyecto Juarez was related to the power structures in Ciudad Juarez. So when I get there, I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work with the feminicides, no? Like the murder of the woman killed in Juarez. So when I was in Juarez, I realized that murders right in that moment were used more like as a political thing than actually caring about like the woman killed.
Oh wow.
But I think it's something normal that happens everywhere. No, it's like, okay, you get like, it's in a way, no?
Right.
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, nobody cares about the name of the woman or their identity, because at that moment it was just like numbers, like woman killed, like 500 or 600 or whatever. There was this non-governmental organization that they said there were like more than 1,000, other ones saying like it was only 100, and so I got to the official numbers. So what I did is that I said, look, okay, they are like around 450 women killed, and they are like 65, 60 kilos on average. So I made the multiplication, and it was like like 27. It was like 28,750 kilos or something like that. So with that number, what I did is like I dig a hole in the desert of Chihuahua, no, in Juarez. So and I took the land and I left like a grave there, no, in a way. So it's like a piece that works in both ways. Okay. You have the hole somewhere, and you have the representation of the woman's killed in the museum or in the gallery, because like all this big amount of dirt is equal to 450 bodies.
Right. So it's sort of.
So I decided to use the dirt or the piece, the land or earth or whatever it's called. I decided to use this as the dirt because it's related to two things. The dirt, the land, and the hole is a grape hole, no?
Right.
So you make a hole and you throw a body there.
Right.
So I did a hole in the desert where you can put like 100 more bodies. So in a way, it was just something like that, like straight to the face. Like there you have it. Keep dropping
Right.
dead people, no? And in a way, it was just like bringing the earth to the museum to make people conscious of what it is.
Of the plight
So
of
it's a kind of like a memorial, no?
Right.
It's like a memorial of all these women killed, and that at this point nobody cares about their names or their origin or family. It's just a number.
Right.
So it was like that, no? And it was very much related to this project with Juarez, no? Because
Right.
we were like different artists working in the context of Ciudad Juarez. So my decision was to work with that, no? I think, for example, also like the idea of using dirt is that it gets lost. I mean, it's not that this kind of, it's like a kind of very fragile and
Right.
ethereal sculpture, even when it's very big and it's a lot of dirt.
Right.
It's like nothing. I mean,
Right.
it disappears day by day, and it's also like the memory of the dead woman. No?
Right.
It vanished. No, in a way, it's like it's getting like it's disappearing, and it's like that. So,
Right.
so in the beginning, you have like 28,000 kilos when you make the hole, but when it comes and arrives to the museum, I'm sure you lost 1,000
Right.
with the air and in the truck, with the moving and everything. So when you pack it, it's gonna get lost and that. And the idea in the beginning, it was like, I hope this piece goes to a lot of places, so it gets disappearing, and at some point,
wow.
what you have is like a small tea bag, a tea sacket, and then maybe show the evolution of the earth disappearing. But it was hard because the piece was first in Mexico City and they moved to Spain. And in Spain, it was like, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we
Right.
gonna move the dirt from Spain to Fort Worth?
Right.
It's like insane. So we talked and I was like, okay, I think the smartest thing to do, and also it's like a reminder, is to make a new one. No, to
Right.
make a new hole, because the other one it's gone. No,
And it
it's
does-
natural. The nature erase it also, but it's also like this idea. No, I mean, you make the hole and then the wind cover it and everything, and it disappears.
Right.
So it's all about like memory and disappearance, and also a reminder. So it's
Right.
this kind of like
Very layered.
complex game of conscious and memory, and the loss of the memory and the loss of the conscious of what it is, no, of the death, the death, no, the fragility of life, and also like the way that it happens, no, like
Right.
how fragile it is, and like how,
Fleeting.
yeah, and I mean, murder is insane.
We want to thank Out-Artemio for speaking with us. For more information on the exhibition, go to themodern.org. That's it for Art This Week. Thanks for watching.
I still got your Polaroid.